Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the Bologna Show presented by Chicago Sports Bums. I am Bologna, better known as Peter Fonseca. And yeah, I'm back on our normal schedule. Wednesday, I got a couple Wednesday shows lined up for the rest of, all of February and a couple for March. So I'm excited to talk to you about those at the end of the show. But there's no nerd news. There's no real intro, nothing I'm pushing. I mean, I'll plug the shirts somewhere in between the middle of the show. But I don't want to keep you guys waiting. This guy's been off the internet streets for long enough. He's back on his flagship show, Pinwheels and Ivy. He is one of my good internet friends, but now we consider ourselves real friends. We live right down the street from each other. It's Father Zoe, Southside Zoe. Zoe, thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, absolutely. Now this is about as hyper local as a podcast can get. Literally a block radius.
Literally a stone's throw away. We probably could have done this live. We could have done it from my fireplace if we really wanted it to. But yeah, man, you're back on the sticks with Pinwheels and Ivy. I've been watching. You were cramping up last episode, so I was like, we got to get you in game shape, baby. We got to get you lined up. So I'm like, will you do the show? And you right away you said, hell yeah. So
of course,
I appreciate you doing this.
Of course, no, absolutely, man. I'm for you anything, bud. You know that.
But yeah, comments are firing up. SPF's in there, HBIC's in there.
That's good.
My man Dougie is I think there's a Hawks game on right now. So I appreciate people are, maybe second screening it up with the Hawks game. Or I know we were going head to head. The Love Fam was tweeting me. We're going to head with the Return of the Muppet Show. So I was like, that's kind of tough. We're going to get preempted by the Muppet Show. So I appreciate you guys hanging out there. Were you a Muppet guy growing up?
I always liked the two old guys in the balcony. Those were my guys. I think that's actually a lot of my sense of humor and kind of wit and all that come from. Those were my guys, man.
Stadler and Waldorf just complaining about everything. That's basically most of the internet nowadays. Those guys were ahead of their time.
Yeah, if you put a gun to my head right now, I couldn't tell you their names, but yeah, those were my guys. Hawks are getting smoked, by the way. Don't turn on the Hawks. Stay here with us.
Not a surprise. The Hawks are bad. My puck bums, the other bums, refuse to believe me when I tell them they're bad, but it's all right. They'll be better soon. They're on the up and up. Just like most Chicago. There's reinforcements coming, but yeah, most of the Chicago teams I would consider on the up and up. I mean, the Bears just had a hell of a season. And, the White Sox are trending in the right direction. We're going to talk White Sox in a little bit, but yeah, you're firing up the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast back up. I feel like it's a good time, with, the Cubs doing their thing and then the White Sox doing their thing.
Yeah. It was, we took a little hiatus. It wasn't all though or Fizz's fault. It was all on me. Basically life got in the way, man. You know how that goes, and
understandable.
There was a lot of stuff happening, some not great stuff, and but we took care of it. Fizz and Aldo, man, they're like brothers to me, and they were with me the whole way, and they were very supportive, and like they never pushed it to get back and all this stuff like that and all this. And actually, it was kind of weird. I don't mean to like go down sad town to begin the show, but a random day a couple months ago, two buddies of mine died on the same day. One on his own fruition and one was a medical, like heart attack or whatever. And one of them was really, really close to me. Shout out Pete, rest in peace. But Pete was probably Pinwheels' #1 fan. Guy loved the show, loves the White Sox. I mean, he was the man, dude. He's you'll never meet a nicer guy in the world than Pete was. And, you know, when something like that happens, especially 2 on one day, you start having like crazy reflection, if you
Yeah.
will. And I just thought, you know, Pete would really want me to get back and doing this. And, you know, it took a little bit of time. We did an episode to test the waters and it was okay. And then a couple, you know, like a month or so went by. And then, you know, I just figured it was time. And tell you what, man, it feels like riding a bike. It's great to, you know, be back on there talking with those guys. And, you know, shout out the White Sox for giving us some stuff to
A
talk
little bit of
about.
news. Yeah, a little bit of news.
And, yeah, man. So it's great to be back. We're looking forward to a good season. You know, we got a lot of good guests lined up. As you know, new local favorite Tanner McDougal.
Mhm.
He loves the guy doing the Chicago handshake and all that stuff on the stage and all this fun stuff. But I mean, that's Fidz's guy. Fidz is literally since he was a kid. He was on Pinwheels a couple years ago. Still one of my favorite episodes because he talked about travel sports. And, you know, you and I got young kids and, you know, you see all these people, you know, friends of mine and stuff like that all over the place. Like, yeah, I got to go to Aurora today for a 2:00 game. And then I got to go up to Wisconsin for a 4:30 game. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But he kind of laid it all out, but he's going to be back this season with us. And he's got a lot of his prospects buddies, you know, that are going to come on the show too. So, you know, we're not trying to outdo Future Sox with the prospect interviews, but we got
You got that connection, man. You got to take advantage of it.
I
I
think it'll
saw
be a little bit of a different interview than the Future Sox interview. We'll talk about the days.
Tanner McDougal, though, he stole the show at Sox Fest. We were there on Friday and Saturday, and I know obviously a lot of the people in the comments, a lot of our friends, you know, in the White Sox Twitter game were able to interview him. And then he was doing like the Malorts and chugging the beer and stuff like that. I feel like everyone from media to fans, like he's a guy that like can really stand out once he gets to the south side of Chicago. So it'll be interesting to have him on. I'll be in the comments, you know, chirping at you guys and stuff like that. He seems like an awesome guy.
He's a great guy. And, you know, Fidz last night told the story of when he was like anointed Fidz's guy. Like as he was coming up and Fidz was the new coach on the board and they're just like, Fidz, this kid's your guy. And he's like, what does that mean? They're like, you'll see. And so every time, you know, he's a good guy. He likes to have fun. And, you know, I think he's going to fit in really well on the South Side. He already hates the Cubs because his dad played for the Cardinals. But it's just,
I love that.
Yeah. Fitz tried to warn him about the Malort, but he'll learn. He'll learn.
Now, we are going to talk Sox and we're going to talk a little bit more about Pinwheels, but I wanted to start with kind of the origins. I don't know if I didn't know when we first met. I think we met a couple 108 days ago. So it was a couple years now. And I was talking about moving into the neighborhood and you're like, oh yeah, I'm right down the street and stuff like that. But I didn't know you had such a long standing and rooted connected with, you know, what we call, whether it's Chicago media or like, you know, like the internet streets or whatever, the blog verse and stuff like that. So I wanted to pick your brain about the history of Sports Mockery because you're embedded in there. You are the history of Sports Mockery, correct?
Yeah, I've been there since day one. It's funny how it started. You know, we were all kids out of college. You know, we all got our first big boy desk jobs. You know, and we're all sitting there click-clacking away. And this was like before like group chats were a thing, like text group chats, and so we just would every day someone would start the day out bright and early with an email and then the email chain would go all day long. Just, do you see this? Do you hear this? Do you see this? Da, da, da. And the true OG, if you will, my buddy Chris, he's a tech guy, you know, he finally said like, hey, if I build this website, you know, you guys start contributing to it. And me and my other buddy, Matt, who we've all been friends since we were kids, me and him were both like, yeah, sure, we'll get it going. And at first, man, we didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't know if we were going to be a satire site. We didn't know if we were going to do real sports news. We didn't know what we were going to do. One of the first stories that ever came on Sports Mockery, I wrote it, was is Derek Jeter really an elite athlete if he can't drink 14 beers and shoot 18 under on Golden Tee? And I wrote it from the viewpoint of like, I can do it, but he can't. So how
Yeah.
elite can he be? And we had funny stories like that, and we didn't really know where we were going to go. And then it kind of like I like to call it the tornado, if you will. It's not something that any of us are really proud of, and it's actually funny how it's now played out. But the whole Patrick Sharp scandal happened.
Yeah.
And we were getting so many emails, so many DMs about this time they saw him there, and a friend of a friend saw him doing this, and somebody did this, and somebody knew that. And we're trying to sort it all out, and we just didn't know what to do because we're not reporters, and we just kind of figured out what we wanted to do, and we just, yeah. And I mean, that made it to NBC, ABC, national news. I was getting calls at work of people telling me they're going to find me and kick my ass, like all kinds of crazy shit, man. And funny story about that real quick, flash forward 12 years later, Sharp, we talked to Sharp on the phone. Like, we're cool with him now. Like, everything's cool. And you won't find any of those stories on the site. Like, there's been a man-to-man mutual,
Yeah.
But that went crazy. And then that kind of finally started settling down, but we saw all of our numbers just start going astronomical. And good way and bad way. Someone that hates you, their click is the same as someone who loves you. And actually, you probably get more hate clicks. But all of it started to settle down. And then just as we started catching our breath, the Patrick Kane story hit with that girl filing the stuff. Now,
yeah,
we were actually on the other side of the fence of that because Kane's people and like other people in Buffalo were telling us like how he's innocent and like how they have proof and like all this. And so we took the side like Kane's innocent. And like we went to war with this reporter from Buffalo. I can't even think of his name, but again, just the numbers kept going boom, 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 boom. They just kept going up and up and up. And we learned a lot. I'll say that those years. We learned a lot, good and bad. We learned a lot. There was a lot of people that we're probably going to talk about later when we talk about Chicago sports personalities that found their ways in our DMs looking for scoops and, where we got all this stuff and how we knew this stuff before it went public and all this stuff. And it was crazy. It was insane. And I give Chris and Matt a lot of credit because out of the three of us, I was the one that was probably freaking out the most, without a doubt. Yeah. Cool, man. And then we just kept going on, and we kind of found our lane, if you will. We figured out what kind of site we wanted to be in. We, for better or worse, we kind of modeled it. I don't think Chris would admit it, but we modeled it kind of after the Barstool model, where you find a story, you aggregate the story, you put a link to the story to give credit, and then you put your opinion on it.
Spin on it.
Yeah. And that's when we were fortunate enough to find head bum in charge favorite dude, Eric Lambert. And
big fan of that guy.
Don't
Jason.
think I forgot about that bum. We're still gonna talk next time I see you. But Eric's awesome, man. Eric was writing for the Raiders when we found him about the Raiders. He hated it. He wanted to write about the Bears, and we gave him the recipe. Sometimes, some of those titles are a little bit not misleading, but they're meant to get you to open the damn article.
Serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Is basically like it's obvious. It's no accident that they are, whether you want to call them clickbaity or not and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
And see, they're not clickbaity if they actually do reference what's in the article. It's not like we're like Giannis to the Bulls, and then we like give you an article with like nothing else. Yeah. But it's a delicate dance. There's sometimes, where we pull it back, but Eric's awesome, man. Eric's an absolute fucking machine. I love that kid, dude. And then we got guys that came on, like Aldo was one of the OGs, dude. Aldo's been with us for a long time. And people have come and gone, and there's people that were with us that have gone on to bigger and better things. Like Sean Sears, I used to do a pod with him way back in the day. He's a producer now for The Score. He probably doesn't want to admit it, but Matt Peck from CHGO wrote for us for a long time before he went there. You know, the list kind of goes on with that, and that's something we're most proud of. Is, you know, again, kind of like Barstool, when people leave Barstool, Dave was always like, oh, you know, I'll always say I'm happy to see if someone can use their experience here to get something better. And we've always been the same way. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, we don't want Eric to go anywhere. We don't want Ola to go anywhere, but we understand it is what it is. But after that, you know, it's been kind of cruise control up until this point, and then now we got the 2.0 coming out.
Yeah, and so I guess that's like a big thing within the last like 2 weeks or so. I've seen you guys really roll it out, and I know, you know, like Missy and Southside Behavior is part of the White Sox umbrella, and I caught, you know, Mitch and a couple other people were talking about it. But yeah, the Sports Mockery 2.0 is big in 2026. Before we talk about that, though, I do want to talk a little bit more about how you guys started, because I mean, I remember reading like if you're a sports fan, especially a sports fan younger, you know, like 18, 19, 20 years old, I had my routine where it's like, even when it was like a BlackBerry Pearl before an iPhone and stuff like that, you know, like I would go to the, you know, the OG Barstool Chicago site, or like Deadspin before they lost and broke their brains and went kind of weird. There was a time where Deadspin, I feel like, was, you know, toe to toe with
100%. Deadspin was in that rotation every morning.
Yeah, and like page 2, you know, the Bill Simmons stuff, and even like SB Nation, a couple other sites. But you guys were in my rotation, like, you know, get see what the White Sox are doing, see what the Bears are doing, and stuff like that. So I know you said you guys don't want to admit it, and it's like you guys took kind of the, you know, like the Barstool model, but like I feel like a lot of blogs did that. Were there any other sites or any other like writers or even just media companies that you're like, oh yeah, we like what they're doing, or we kind of want to pick their brain? Or you guys always going to be like, we're going to do our own thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more the opposite. We would see what other people were doing and be like, that's kind of lame. You know, we're three dudes that grew up, born and raised south side of Chicago. You know, I grew up in Beverly, they grew up in Mount Greenwood, but we grew up together, and like we just always wanted to do our own thing and distinguish ourselves a little bit differently from you know, like that Deadspin, because Deadspin was great. Remember when they broke the Manti Te'o story and like all that? Like,
I think that was the last great, like, you know, the peak of Deadspin, because before that, like
100%.
I always talk about Drew McGarry. He used to do like the Monday morning quarterback kind of thing, or why your team sucks before the NFL
that was always
season.
Good. Those were good.
Those were really good. And then like his brain broke, but a lot of the internet's a lot of people's brain broke in general in the last 8 years or so. But yeah, I used to think Deadspin was at the time, and you know what, Sam kind of makes a good point. It was pre Julie DeCaro. It was a thing of beauty.
Well, she is not a fan of ours. We'll put it that way.
She's not a fan of anything, to be honest with you.
She is not a fan of ours. Yeah, we went at her back when she was a thing. Yeah, that's kind of the other thing that kind of kept us going, is just you know, we weren't afraid. If someone would come at us, you know, like if someone like had a little tweet about us or something like that, we weren't really the type to sit back and just be like, oh, just let it go. Even though I would usually just be like, hey man, just let it go. But we would be like, no, fuck them. And we would return fire. That's I guess the south side in us. And that resonated with a lot of people. And yeah, it's funny. Oh man, there's some things in the Fizz bringing up. Yeah, we tried to launch Sin City Sports Mockery.
Oh yeah, you got it, like a city like offshoots.
Yeah, we were trying to do the Vegas, and that was before, like obviously like the A's playing there, and like the Golden Knights won cups, and it was before the Raiders were there, and so it was a little tougher. Like we've tried to have a wrestling beat writer. That never stuck. Like if the page views aren't there, because our writers get paid by page views, you know what I mean? And like if they're not there, you know, someone's not going to sit there and spend hours of their day writing for you if they're not getting paid.
Right.
And we've tried a UFC guy before, we've tried a gambling guy before, we've tried all that stuff, and that's kind of the business, man. Trial and error, and sometimes you just gotta dribble and you shoot and you hope it goes in. But
yeah, and
yeah.
a lot of that time, it could be right place, right. Like you guys could have had a good wrestling writer, but it was like, like wrestling, like every other sport, is ups and downs. Like if it's
Yep.
in a lull, people aren't clicking. Like he could have had a blog that went crazy, and it's just sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Now you say like your writers are paid by clicks and stuff like that, but like media's changed a lot since like when I was talking about the Deadspins and the Barstools, OG Barstool and stuff like that, where it's like everything was written word, blog driven, articles or blogs or stuff like that. To now, I feel like the younger generation, they're not going to be reading a blog. I feel like the blog cutoff is like maybe 35 years old and up, to where like now all of the media is so like Instagram driven, TikTok driven, YouTube shorts. It's all video driven. So like, have you guys, like kind of like, I don't know if it's game plan is the right word, but like, like you guys got to kind of switch with the times and stuff like that.
I'm actually really happy that you asked that, because we have something new that we're doing. It's going to be called Untold. It's former Chicago athletes, for now Chicago athletes, and they're going to just kind of like, how there's a lot of podcasts now with like former players like Jennings and those guys it's a lot of NBA stuff, but like they do their stuff, and people love to hear it though. They love to hear those stories that that they've never been told before. And so we got a good friend of our show. His name's Colin. Colin's been with these athletes for years and years and years. Like, these are his boys. Like, I won't get into, I don't know if Colin wants me putting his business on the street on what he does for a profession, but like, it's a money thing, and he's been around these guys for a long time. And so he's the host of the show because he has this awesome relationship with these guys. And it's going to be new athletes every month coming on. We just actually recorded the first 2 episodes with Jerry Azuma. He's going to be the first guest, and he's actually going to stay on as a co-host, which is great because he loves the idea so much.
That's cool.
He's a great guy, by the way. We've gotten to know each other doing this. And then Rashid Davis.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then we've had a couple meetings about guests that are coming down the pipeline, and I think people are going to find it. They're going to really dig it, man. I mean, just off those first 2 shows that are getting edited right now and everything before they come out, there's some crazy stuff. And it's not like crazy like Led Zeppelin at the Hotel California,
yeah.
But it's just like these guys talk about their upbringing, how they got to playing for the Bears. There's some fun locker room stories for sure, and like there's some good stuff there. And then one of the things that I really like about the show is at the end of the show there's a segment where they talk about things you can do with your kids, or advice for your kids, or like, you know what I mean? Because as a dad, and I know you're a dad, like we all want our kids to be like some star athlete, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but they give really good tips, like, make sure you nurture this, or you encourage this, or, you really pay attention here and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be great. I think people are going to really enjoy it. It's definitely a new avenue for us. But we put a lot of work into it, that's for sure. And, we really hope people like it, man. And I think it's going to be really cool. It's called Untold Chicago. There's already a YouTube channel that people can subscribe to. The intro song is made by another St. Rita grad.
I saw that.
He's been doing a couple songs for us. One of his songs got picked up by the Bears. Like, they're like, this song's awesome. It was like one of the hype, when there's so many people that put out the hype videos now and all that stuff. But he put out his song, and the Bears were like, this is dope. We want to license it. And so it was cool. I mean, if we could stay on the South Side, we like 35th and Shields when it comes to the North.
You broke up there for a little for
Oh, I'm
a second.
sorry.
No, but I did see the teaser trailer and the intro song. It is on the YouTube right now. So if you guys go and subscribe to the Untold, the teaser, it teased a little bit of the Jerry Azuma thing, but it looks awesome. The production value is through the roof. I also told you, and I gave you credit. I know, like HBIC and other people aren't, the biggest fans of Eric Lambert, but like you mentioned, he served the purpose and he drives in numbers. I talked to you and I DM'd, I text you actually when you guys signed Burns for like doing the Bears videos and Bears beat and stuff like that. And I was like, give that the keys to the Bears kingdom because he's so good at what he does. And I feel like he just blew up like within the last like 2 seasons. It was like so quick. And he hustles. He puts out videos. He does like info. He gives his opinion. I'm a big fan of Burns and everything he does. So I thought like that was a great get by you guys.
And thank you. And with Burns, about a year ago or whatever, we saw our demographic, like it's like males 30 to 55 years old is our main whatever. And we're like, that's great. But, how do we kind of break into, like you mentioned, the newer media and stuff like that? And, a guy like Burns that could pump out a bunch of TikToks, Instagram reels, videos from Facebook, kids, it was actually funny. We were talking to him. He's like, yeah, it's a good offer and everything like that. He's like, let me think about it. Apparently his dad is a huge Sports Mockery fan.
Oh, really?
And his dad was
now
like,
you're getting the second generation of the fans.
His dad's like, are you kidding me? You can work with those guys? He's like, you should do it, man. Do it. So he did it. And then I saw her in the comments, and I definitely want to give her credit. We acquired Southside Behavior, and Missy does a phenomenal job for us with that. And, that's more geared towards a younger crowd, a younger generation.
Sure.
And I know Missy's got some good TikTok stuff lined up for this season. And, she did a great job at Sox Fest. So some of those interviews will be coming out soon. And, it's just, it's kind of like anything in this world, man. Sometimes you got to take a step back and just take a inventory of everything and figure out, how do you keep moving this forward? How do you keep going? And that's just, we had to adapt or die. So
survive in advance. So before we get off the Sports Mockery, I do want to talk a little about 2.0 because it's not just like the Untold and like the new people signing on. You guys are kind of revamping everything, where I saw like there's like a VR aspect to it and like stadium tours and all kinds of like crazy ideas that I don't think anybody else is doing. So can you just expound a little bit more on that?
I'll do my best, man, because it is wild.
It sounds crazy.
It's wild. And all praise goes to Chris, who is the computer guy, the IT guy, and East Matt, who is, right there with them, putting in crazy hours to make this shit work. And you're going to be able to take virtual tours of stadiums. You're going to be able to have like Snapchat filters of you with like a helmet on and like take pictures and stuff. You're going to be able to, one thing that's really, really cool that I know he spent a lot of time on because he's trying to get it exactly right is there's going to be trade simulators for all the leagues.
That's awesome. I love that idea.
And he's going to be, and like he's including like prospect money, like NFL draft position based off of what's his face, the old Cowboys coach. I can't think of names lately. How about them Cowboys? What the hell's his name?
Phillips? Bum Phillips?
No.
Oh no, Jamie Johnson. Yeah.
Well, he put together numerical values for NFL draft picks. Like if this pick is worth this pick is, and so he's adapted that into the trade. It's a crazy. I mean, he's fine tuning it still. Jimmy Johnson. Yep, he's fine tuning it still, but it's gonna be a lot better than the ESPN one. I can tell you that. I've seen early examples of it. There's just all kinds of stuff, and something that a lot of people don't know unless you were in this business. Why would you? Google made 2 massive updates in 2025. And basically what they're doing is they're using AI now to reward more original content. And like the way that we were doing things, isn't exactly looked down upon like it used to be with Google. So we got to switch some stuff up. They take, website speed, how long it takes for stuff to load, how all this stuff and Chris has just gone complete mad scientist. And like, it's going to be really good. Actually, I think Fid said it in the comments about securing the rights to Morgan Freeman's voice. One of the really cool features is, everybody's phone now goes Bluetooth to their car. It's just, it's the way the world works now. So you're going to be able to click on a Sports Mockery article and then click play, and then an AI voice will read you the article.
See, that's what I'm saying. People ain't reading no more. So that's a great way to get ahead, where it's like, I want to read this article, but I'm driving. Click and play. That's a great idea.
Believe me, dude, I'm probably leaving 20 things out. And if Chris watches this, he's going to message me and be like, you didn't talk about this and this and this, but we'll leave a little something for the imagination. But when it goes live, and it will be soon, I've seen a lot of it, and it's going to be cool. It's going to be like something you've never seen before. It really is. And it's definitely us swinging for the fences. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's really exciting. And my voice will not be available, and I will not be there to mispronunciate everyone's name. But
you might have to make it like a subscription based to get Zoe's voice. Now, like, we want to hear Zoe's voice. You got to pay a little bit extra money.
Yeah. And you want to hear me mispronounce everything. There you go.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit of Pinwheels. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball. This is usually the nerd non-baseball show, but I got you on, so I want to talk White Sox with you. And then at the end of the show, because you're the media guy, we're going to re-list or like re-rank the terrible Jeff Agrest article from the Sun Times.
It's a brutal list.
It's bad. I complained about it last night on the Bumcast. He was my bum of the week because the list made no sense whatsoever. So I said, I was like, you know what? On a future episode of the Bologna Show, I would just redo it. And I'm like, actually, no, I'll do it tomorrow because I got you on. You're kind of like the perfect guy to pick your brain. So before we get to all that, I want to do this was basically a 30-minute ad for Sports Mockery. So now I got to, suck my own dick a little bit. ShySportsBums.BigCartel.com is the home for all Chicago sports bums merch. We have Bears, Hawks, Sox, and Bums merch available. Anything you need to get ready for a big game or a Chicago Sports Bums event. Remember, all profits go directly back into our Whiskey at Comiskey tailgates to keep the beer and food free for everyone. So head over to ShySportsBums.BigCartel.com and pick up a couple Toot Tree shirts today.
I love that Ben Johnson shirt, man. I gotta get that.
Dude,
it's one of those things where I see it and I click on it, and then something happens. I gotta pull the trigger.
We were so amped about, like, obviously, like we mentioned, we're old school, like we're old now. So it's like I was thinking of like the Big Johnson shirts of the 90s and stuff like that.
It's awesome.
And I was like, awesome. I don't think enough people realize the reference, but the people that get it right away are like, that's amazing. So it's like, we need more of you. So
yeah, somebody did the Big Johnson, and then somebody did an Instagram like post about the And One shirts, and I was enthralled. I was like, this is amazing.
With like the shadow guys, like
the shadow
with
guys,
the quotes.
Like, make sure you go to church because I'm gonna show you God, and like all this stuff, like just all this stuff. Oh yeah, it's funny ass shit, dude. I love that stuff. Those shirts, no fear. Big Johnson, Big Dog,
the Big Dog ones, Co-ed naked,
yeah, all those shirts. Those were the have to haves in like 8th grade, dude. Those were sick.
And it was like, I had to watch my P's and like, I want to make sure I get one that was funny but also awesome. But like, I didn't want to get in trouble with my parents about it either. So it's like, God damn it, you got to really pick and choose which ones you're getting.
Then you had your hat that said Cox University of South Carolina.
I had the Moorhead State.
Yep.
It was like, Stephen Barry's type of hats with the text. So yeah, everyone had the South Carolina one. I had the Moorhead State one. I thought I was pulling a fast one out. This was like in 8th grade too. Like I'm like a
new rascal.
Like no girls were gonna touch me for another 5 years. But I thought I was funny.
Oh, that's good stuff, dude. That brings back memories. Yeah, Ron John's shortstop cheap. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ron John's.
Oh yeah,
that's a good call.
Oh boy.
So yeah, Pinwheels and Ivy is back. We had Sox Fest in full force. The White Sox shockingly are making moves. They got the Murakami and Austin Hayes and a bunch of nonstop. And most blogs or podcasts will ask you about the possibility of Rock Chalowski or anything else. I'm gonna start with what everyone should be talking about and what you guys were talking about. Clean asses, baby. The White Sox, exactly. You keep that thing on you. I saw that last night on your podcast, and I'm like, oh my god! I was like talking about bidets. He just pulled one out from like next to his desk. I was like, what did you have some inside scoop, Sports Mockery style, that you said, oh, I got a bidet handy, or maybe you guys got a bidet sponsorship already? Because I'm looking for.
That'd be sick. No, it was a gift. I do these podcasts from my bar in my basement, and it's just been sitting here waiting to be installed for 3 months. And it was one of those things that just completely worked out. That story came up, and I didn't even realize it was there. And I like glanced over out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh yeah, this one right here. Yeah. So
that's hilarious. Yeah. Like I was watching last night, and you I think it was Aldo that mentioned it right away, and then you're like, boom, I got that thing on me. But yeah, man, it's exciting times, and it's crazy to say exciting times for a team that has lost 100 games for the better part of 2-3 seasons now.
Yeah.
And the general public or the outside public are still very much out on the White Sox, but at least to us, it seems like they're trying to do the right things. And I talked about it yesterday, where it's like, Getz is still handcuffed by like the system he's in, right? He's handcuffed by Jerry Reinsdorf and the fact that like you're just not going to spend money. So he's trying to be creative in ways that like he's able to do things like basically buy a prospect from the Red Sox or kind of like maneuver things here and there. But it sounds like you guys are kind of like on the same boat, where it's like, there's something to look forward to this season.
I think so the title of our Pinwheels show last night was grading his off season so far. And excuse me, I think we landed on C+, B-. We're seeing some of the national media websites like John Boy or Jam Boy, whatever the hell, and those guys giving the White Sox a lot of credit, saying, look at the White Sox offseason. And I put it to like the lazy kid finally getting up and doing something athletic, and everyone's like, oh, look at him go. It's like the White Sox are finally doing things. And, the Muni signing, that was really cool. Yeah. We don't get that that never happens to us. Like that never happens. And, I remember watching him in the World Baseball Classic, and when he gets a hold of it, it's just like, holy shit, and he's got a little Pedro Serrano going on.
Yeah,
where
that a little bit, but...
yeah, a little whiskey for Joe Boo, maybe hit that curveball. But the fact that he came to the White Sox was cool. The fact that someone like that had offers decided to come here out of all places was cool to see. And then, they got May coming over from the KBL too. Maybe a little lightning in a bottle again, bringing a pitcher back over from Japan.
Yeah, they got that history.
Yeah, they do. And that's kind of going exactly what you were saying about how he's got to be creative. He's got to do moves like that because he can't go out and drop 50 mil on Edwin Diaz or something like that, And the Sir Anthony Dominguez move still surprises me. That was weird.
Well, I talked about it 2 weeks ago, and I was saying like people are complaining that like like the White Sox are not going to be in contention, and like why are they signing a closer for that kind of like that's the last thing you should be signing. But like if you guys watch a lot of like the last 2 seasons, the 1-run games are the things that were they got blown out a bunch too, but the 1-run games were the ones that were like really frustrating. And if you're bolstering that bullpen, I feel like those 1-run games might, be, turn into your favor. And then because it's going to be hard for them to replicate, a 19-win production because it was literally 121 losses, right? Like, so like anything was going to be better than that, but it ended up being 19 wins better. I don't think you could do that 2 years in a row. But like if you bolster the bullpen and you get a little bit better defensively in the outfield, which I still don't think they did because you lose a defensive player like Luis, but at least it's like a little bit better kind of overall. That's where like you might see another jump up. And I know a lot of people are hammering the 56.5, and I'm like, man, that's actually a really good number. I mean, Vegas knows what it's doing. It's really good, but there is a chance if all things go according to plan, you have another bump up.
Absolutely. And, it's a little bit of addition by subtraction. If you can keep Andrew Noodle Arm Benetti
out
as
of
the DH.
Yeah,
you keep him as the DH. I said he's like the kid in Little League that sits out there and goes, don't hit it to me, don't hit it to me, don't hit it to me. But, I really like the Austin May signing. That's great. But one thing that I really like that the White Sox are doing is they got a great farm system, top 3, top 5, depending on where you look, farm system. And they've made these moves and they've got these guys that are okay, they're serviceable, but nobody's really blocking any of these kids from making that jump. There's no set in stone guy that's like, whoa, you're going to sit another year in AAA because you're not going to pass up this guy. There's not anyone, maybe Colson Montgomery, but other than that, there's really no one on this team that is like not replaceable.
Yeah, stuck. Yeah.
And they got a lot of great kids coming up, especially pitching. That fifth starter slot is very much up for grabs. It's going to be what the White Sox have done is made it more interesting again to watch spring training battles and to watch, AAA stat lines and see how these kids are doing, because it's almost shit or get off the pot time, going back to the bidet, but shit or get off the pot time for guys like Noah Schultz and Hagan and Tanner McDougal. Tanner and these guys have been working their ass off. And I think it's time to start seeing on some of them, and the opportunities there, and so it's going to be fun to watch. I think I labeled them as probably going to be another fun, bad year.
Yeah,
but
for
they're
sure.
going to be young. They're going to be young. There's going to be a lot of energy. We're seeing, we saw it at Sox Fest. These guys are getting the ability to make a name for themselves in Major League Baseball. And so we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be great, though. I really I'm for the first time in a long time, I can honestly say I'm really looking forward to this season. Like, just as a baseball fan, to see how these developments happen. And, what if we watch Colson Montgomery become the next great shortstop in Major League Baseball? Or, who knows what's going on. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I feel like there was probably either bullet points or a team memo or something, because Sox Fest just happened, and you see a lot of these podcasts and media outlets interviewing a bunch of these guys, and everyone, it was almost like at bullet points, make sure you talk about how Colson Montgomery was the one responsible for his turnaround, because they all gave him credit. They all gave him credit. He was the one that putting in the hours and willing to go back down and stuff like that. But I'm like, oh, credit, they actually have a game plan. And it's something as simple as everyone being on the same page in interviews is we haven't seen that before. So I was like, wow, this kind of, at least in my eyes, I was like, oh man, they almost got their shit together, at least internally.
A coherent PR department.
Exactly.
And then they go and do the Frank Thomas tweet.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, there's no defending that at that point. We talked about it. I was like, you just at that point, you just got to be hands up, we messed up, or say hey, we have a whole Frank Thomas week planned, in a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah, they bricked. I mean, like you said, you just got to own it at that point. We've all done it. You sometimes just got to, screw that one up. My bad. Yeah, have you seen Colson Montgomery?
Damn. Speaking of brick, before we wrap up, we teased this Jeff Agrest article. Agrest, it's the Sun-Times media writer. And it's been talked about for about 10 days now. But I was finally able to talk about it on the Bumpcast yesterday, and I was like, this is so bad that I kind of want to pick your brain on what we can, and realistically, I have no opinions about any of the Cubs guys, because I'm just not in that world. But it sounded like Boog Scambi at number 1 was a crazy thing, at least asking other Cubs fans.
Yeah, that's wild to me. And I mean, what this shows me, and being, I guess, in this blog sphere for as long as I have, we've run into it 1,000,001 times, and we'll run into it 1,000,000 more, where old school media hates us. They hate the blogs, they hate the videos, they hate all that stuff. They like their shows, their guys with set time slots, and pregame, postgame. That's their media. They'll never recognize us as media, and we're really not media,
right?
And we never really pretend to be. We don't have the accents that they do. We don't have the credentials. We don't have all the stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of really great professionals on this list, but there's some, in my mind, just some omissions from this list that are just brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, so let's get there. So yeah, I said this is very old man media,
Yes,
like favoritism, and it's understandable, right? Sun Times writer is going to be more old man media than most. But there are some omissions. But let's talk about like even someone like I'm looking at number 10, Luke Canales, who just got a bunch of money to go from Fox to the main sports guy at NBC5. But I'm like, I don't know any person that's gonna be like, I need to know what Luke Canales is thinking about anything.
It's just the guy that shows up at halftime. Like, it's like, I'm not knocking Lou. He's been doing it for years. He's great at what he does.
Yeah, he's an OG.
Like, personality. I mean, Pat Foley's on this list.
Yeah, Joey P's like, he probably should have took him off the list.
Olin Kreutz beat up his co-host.
Yeah, that's another one where it's like Olin Kreutz, nobody is going out of all of the CHGO guys, and I know he does radio hits too, but like of all the CHGO Bears guys, the Olin Kreutz is the one on this list is crazy. Like there's probably 5 guys better at CHGO than him.
And just to make things clear, I think Olin's great. Don't beat me
up. You don't want to get beat up. I'll say it.
No,
you know what? Actually, the bums could use a little bit of bad PR. I said we want to get cease and desist. I'll take a lawsuit. I'll take a punch from Olin Kreutz one time.
Trust me,
only one.
As someone that's been there, you don't want the lawsuit part. It's not fun.
Damn.
We've been sued more than a handful of times. It's not a great time.
All right. Either way, Olin Kreutz should not be on the list.
Actually, quick Olin Kreutz, his kid played for Loyola, and my cousin played for St. Lawrence, and I went to the game. His kid looked like a 40-year-old man playing against 10-year-olds. He was massive. He's at U of I now. And Olin was cool with everybody, though. He's sitting in the stands. He was really cool with everybody. I like Olin. I like his attitude. I like how he's, old school. Like, we need some of that still in today's society, but it's just as a sports media personality, top 20, I don't even think he'd put himself in the top 20.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
And I know this was part of the calendar year and stuff like that, but like Danny Parkins was on his way out, right? Like I would put him higher realistically if we're talking about, within the last 2-3 years, but like he's already nationally, like he was gone for half the year. So it's like, you could probably take him off the list.
Bernstein does a podcast.
Yeah. Well, that's the only guy that I think he got. And I'm not a Bernstein guy, but
neither am I.
It's undeniable that like he was able to spin the bad publicity from the Eddie Barstool thing and the whole fish tweet that broke his brain and spin it into something positive, because his podcast now I think is probably okay. Like it's doing really good numbers, and he's got Matt Abatacola on there, and it's not too bad. I've listened to a couple of them.
I haven't heard a second of it. I'm okay in my life without hearing Dan Bernstein.
No, you're probably better off for it.
Who is that at number 19? I'm not sure I know who that is.
Dion Miller is the Channel 7 sports reporter, and she also does a radio show. It's Peggy Kaczynski and Dion Miller on ESPN 1000. So she's just like a sports anchor, basically.
All right, yeah, you'd be surprised because of my family and all this stuff, but I'm not a big sports radio guy. Just not. Oh yeah, Fids and Kaplan hate each other, but I'm not a big sports media guy.
I'm not a
sports radio
Kaplan guy. I'm not a Kaplan guy at all. I'm not a take that guy. But between like his ESPN 1000 show and now his YouTube channel that is basically blown up,
Yep.
is the recap, if you will. I gotta give him credit, right? Like he's got a fucking motor that doesn't stop. Like that guy is just on camera all the goddamn time.
And I will say, I know Fids and him have had their whatever. Kaplan is a friend of SM. He's been a friend to us. We've crossed paths a couple times. He's always been friendly to us. He's always, willing to lend an ear or give us an opinion on something. And he is a friend of Sports Mockery, even though Fids doesn't like him.
So let's get to just basically like who would you add, because I think we might be in agreement, and we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah,
a Chicago sports personalities list starts and ends with Barstool Big Cat, right? Like at least in my eyes, like
even though all that stuff came out about him being a Patriots fan and
it's
he
tough.
moved
That's
to
a tough scene.
Chicago and all that stuff, but I mean, he has completely embraced the city. The guy just wins. Everything he does turns to gold. Part of my take is, I mean, fuck, dude, they're on Netflix.
They're on Netflix,
man.
yeah.
They're on Netflix, dude. And so, Big Cat he's friends to all the athletes. I always liked Big Cat just because of how much of a Grateful Dead fan he is. I've always related to him. If you want to see a really cool interview, watch the interview where he's at George Kittle's house and him and Kittle talk about the Grateful Dead. It's fucking amazing, dude. And Big Cat hits it on the head so clearly. And it's just like, I watched that and I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like, that's exactly why I like the Dead too. Like, it was awesome. And, him taking the brand from Barstool being New York based and bringing it to Chicago and opening up that huge studio with the
fantasy
gauntlet
factory
and all this stuff. And, it is. It's Chicago sports fan. I mean, that was all Big Cat, and all those guys will say it. I've heard White Sox Dave talk about it, Chief, all of them, how they all owe it all to Big Cat. And, he is a Chicago sports personality. He should be arguably number one on this list over Boog. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, to leave him off is just an egregious way of saying that you don't respect or understand non-traditional media.
Yeah, new media. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, the guy's he sold his podcast to Netflix.
It's crazy.
Like,
he's on Netflix. He's also got a morning show. I mean, it's Barstool, but he's on the morning show on Fox Sports 1 now. So it's like he's on
ESPN radio.
And he still does. Yeah, he does Wednesdays, Waddle and Sylvie, like once a week. Not like, and he doesn't miss those. Like he is on there every 4 p.m. So yeah, he's one of those guys where it's like, obviously he's earned all of the success. He I feel like he just doesn't take a break. Like he rarely, like after the Super Bowl, maybe he'll go on vacation once, but he's always online. He's always behind a camera, but he understands the pulse and the voice of sports fans, 20 to 45. I know people older than me that are huge fans of Big Cat. And then obviously like teenagers are huge, like he casts a wide net.
And I mean, he's a great interviewer. He gets people out of their shells. I mean, he had that one dude from ESPN peeing in his pants. Like, I mean,
that the piss dogs thing. It's still one of the funnier things on the internet. And yeah, it was Mark Schlereth pissing his pants.
And I mean, the guy's got the one thing that I give him a lot of props and respect for. I mean, he's got a wife and kids.
Yeah.
And he's still doing this. Like you said, the guy just works, man. He just is always working. And I respect him. And then the other person from Barstool and Chicago wise that I'm putting on this list without a doubt is Eddie. There's not a better interviewer than Eddie from Barstool. I've said this a million times. I've told it to him to his face in the parking lot at, US Cellular Guaranteed Rate Comiskey Field. Guys, hands down, for my money, he's the best interviewer in Chicago. Like when he was doing those, he had that series where he's like interviewing mailman and garbage.
The plumber.
Man,
that's the thing. He made any interview interesting. Like he could be interviewing I think I listened to one where it was like a guy that does like pesticides for bugs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's like, so he'll just make anything interesting.
He's a phenomenal interview. He makes things interesting. And, you know, I have my 30 rec scale that I judge guys on, you know, how many times, or if I drink a 30 rec with him or not. I mean, Eddie's a 30 rec guy.
Oh, for sure. He's a garage beer guy for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely garage beer. And like, I think he'd be great. And then, you know, on this list though, there's, how do you leave off, you know, our drunk uncles, the 108 guys who are literally getting bobbleheads made for them by the White Sox, who have beef loaf mystery meat on the food thing for at Sox Fest. Like, it's just there's just an egregious, like, screw new media, screw non-traditional media. I'm putting Pat Foley on this list. It's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
It's tough, and yeah, there's a couple more. I talked about it yesterday, but like Jeff Joniak is so good at his job. It's like, you know, how do you not have Jeff Joniak on? And from the CHGO Bears guys, which is now, you know, like, which is crazy. I saw who's the
they fired Kevin, dude. That was crazy.
Yeah, Kevin Kaduk, he got let go. But no, there was another
he's a good dude.
He's another sports media guy. And he talked about it, he basically just talked about how, like, there's no one from Chicago media going to the Super Bowl, and that's a bad thing because the Tribune didn't send somebody and the Sun Times didn't send somebody, and like a lot of the you know, the local ABC, NBC, CBS didn't send anybody, and CHGO was like, oh no, we're sending a whole crew of people, producers, and like, yeah, CHGO is now like Bears media. Like I don't go. I used to do, like, way back in the day, you know, like the Final Word and like Waddle and everyone else that was out there. Like now, you know, the game ends and the CHGO guys are on 5 minutes after the game ends, and they're on for like 3 hours, and they got players, they got, like, you know, fans. So the guy I'm like, he has to be on this list is Greg Braggs, a literal bricklayer. He literally a brick by brick guy, built his following to the point where it's now like people are going to see what he's going to say. And he is a meathead, but he's like our meathead, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan. That's stories for another time.
Oh, okay. No, that's we are close to the clock here. We might have to save that one for another time.
Like Adam Johns, he should be on this list.
Adam Johns.
Who's his partner?
Hogue.
He should be on this list.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, like I said, and anybody, you look at that list and, like, I mean, shit, like the guys from Sox Machine who've been doing this forever should be on, you know what I mean? Like, they've been doing it before Sports Mockery. They've been doing it forever. Sox Machine's been around for almost 20 years.
Yeah, I think they're celebrating a 20-year anniversary this August.
Insane,
I think
dude.
Margulis just,
that is insane to me.
Margulis had a tweet about it. They've been Sox Machine for 20 years. So yeah.
It's crazy, man. I mean, 20 years and they still don't get put on lists like that.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah. Olin Kreutz.
Pat Foley.
Joey P says, I'm old. I was always a George Michael Sports Machine guy.
Dude, I remember that when I was a kid.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. And Ass. How can you forget about Ass?
That, yeah, number 1 in your hearts, number 75 on the list. I got a super chat from Gordo. Shout out Gordo,
hey,
my
Gordo.
man. He says, cheers, though. Screw baloney. Screw you, Gordo.
Glad you're feeling better, bud.
Hell yeah. It was good to see him on Saturday. He's you know, wheeling around doing good. So shout out Gordo. But yeah, man, I said 45 minutes to an hour. We're right at the hour mark. So this was fun. I'm going to have you back more of like a, you know, just shooting the segments. This one was more like, you know, I wanted to pick your brain on Sports Mockery and a couple other things, but I feel like we could just, you know, have a couple beers and hang out and talk whatever we want. So I appreciate you doing this.
When it gets nice out, we'll go live from your garage because I can.
Hell yeah. You know what we'll do? We'll go live from Payless Country Club. We'll do 9 holes and just shoot the shit.
That'd be awesome. I wish the Valley was still open. We could go from there. I guarantee you we could find a corner booth. But rest in peace, Valley Inn.
R.I.P. the Valley. I drove by there today and I saw like they're still all boarded up and stuff. And they're, you know, obviously no one's there. So like their parking lot's full of snow. I was like, I almost want to just go plow that parking lot out of respect because just clean it up a bit because I love that place.
Yeah, I did a catering order. I got to talk to Dennis and his wife, and It's not looking good.
Nah,
It's not looking
I
good.
heard something similar. So
Yeah. So,
but yeah, thank you
what-
so much. So what are we gonna do? We're talk maybe we'll catch Sports Mockery 2.0 soon, but we'll catch you on Pinwheels every week now. Are we announcing?
Yeah,
every week
we're
or not
back
yet?
to every we're gonna do Tuesday nights. So
Oh,
every
yeah.
Tuesday night. But yeah, everybody that's listening right there, if you got a second, go like the Untold Chicago YouTube page and make sure you keep your eye out for that, because I'll tell you right now, you're not gonna be disappointed. I think you guys are gonna really like it.
Yeah, the trailer looks awesome. I'm already subscribed, so that'll be good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Zoe. I'm gonna talk a little housekeeping and then we're gonna wrap this up. So I'll talk to you in a second. That was Sports Mockery and Pinwheels and Ivy Southside Zoe, Matt Zawaski. So thank you to him for hopping on. I've been wanting to pick his brain for a while. I talked about, a couple 2-3 shows that I've got lined up. We're still going to talk Oscars at the end of the month with the guys from the Analysis podcast. That's going to be my guy, Robert Pantalone. We call him Bobby Pants. But next Wednesday, I teased it during the Bologna Show with Chirizi because we talked He-Man and the trailer, that I want to do like an 80s and 90s toy, just nostalgia show. So I got my guy, and I keep telling everybody that's like ever been a part of like, wow, no, where'd it go? Nope, I lost it. I lost this. I lost my screen. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Nope. God damn it. There it is. It's Johnny. It's Johnny. He's my cousin Johnny, the Southside bum. He had every toy. He had every toy under the sun in the 80s and 90s. So we're going to talk wrestling buddies. We're going to talk He-Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Teddy Ruxpin, Thundercats. If you guys got a toy you want to talk about, we're going to talk 80s and 90s toys next week. I will have Nerd News back next week. There's a couple movie and kind of things to do. So it'll be like a regular Bologna show with the Nerd News. And then Johnny's going to be on. We're going to talk toys for about an hour. We might talk toys for 2 hours because I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and I know a lot of you guys are too. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. We'll be back on our regular schedule for the foreseeable future. No more puck bum hockey games. The Bumcast will be back Monday nights at a regular time, regular schedule, and then Wednesday nights for the Bologna Show. Thank you guys. Thank you, Gordo, for the super chat. Thank you, everyone in the comments. Thank you to Matt. We'll see you next week. We'll smell you later.
Goodbye for